Hola Jetsetters, bienvenidos de vuelta a The Jet Set en español. Hoy los llevo a conocer las bondades de Blacksburg, Virginia, así como también qué hay de nuevo en Christianburg, Virginia. Estoy de vuelta con más de Jet Set en español. En esta primera parte comienzo mi recorrido por Blacksburg visitando J.H. Bart's Spirit Co., una destilería y club de whisky que abrió sus puertas para todos aquellos interesados en el mundo del whisky. Luego visitaré la casa de Alexander Black para conocer más sobre la historia de este lugar. Si la comida mexicana está entre tus favoritas, no te pierdas mi visita a Cabo Fish Taco. Y finalizamos con una visita a Pandapas Pond, donde la ranger local nos dará un pequeño tour. Acompáñenme. J.H. Bart's Spirit Co. en Blacksburg es una destilería artesanal donde el servicio cercano y experto te recibe con cócteles hechos con sus propios whiskies, rye y vodkas. Su ambiente íntimo y relajado, con un tasting room acogedor, lo convierte en un lugar ideal para probar sabores locales. Me reuní con sus dueños para conocer más.
So we started out of a conversation, really. I met Jason by walking into a restaurant here in Blacksburg and talking about forming a whiskey club so that the two of us could meet people and get people interested in whiskey. That whiskey club took off. One year, actually 2020, we took its members to Kentucky for the Bourbon Trail. In that vacation, in that getaway, we had a lot of conversation about, the fact that the New River Valley does not have a whiskey club, or a distillery rather. And so started a conversation about how to form a distillery, did a lot of research, met with a lot of other distilleries, got a lot of help along the way, and in 2021 we launched J.H. Bart's.
We're just very different than any other establishment here in Blacksburg. We make our own product, we serve our own product, we don't utilize anybody else's product. So they're getting something locally made, locally owned, locally sourced, handcrafted. Everything we do here we make on site. We don't pre-purchase anything. We don't use pre-mixes of any variety, all fresh ingredients. And we just like them to have a really unique time and where they can come, enjoy, have a cocktail, hang out with friends, be able to purchase our bottles, as well as just be able to enjoy a good local brand.
Yeah, so when people walk in, we want to make sure we have enough variety that we can appeal to just about everybody. So we do offer a variety of whiskeys, everything from our bourbon whiskey, which I would put up against any other bourbon on the shelf in terms of wonderful taste, bourbon qualities like cinnamon, leather, vanilla, all the way down to our maple whiskey. This one here, more like dessert course. It's a corn whiskey with maple syrup, actual maple syrup put into it that really makes a nice, sweet, easy sipper, great for a tailgate or by a fire pit. Our mission from day one is to be part of the community, but also create community. We want people to use our tasting room as a place to meet other people, enjoy our whiskey with friends. We really enjoy reaching out to other small businesses in the area, forming partnerships with them. We offer sodas from Moon Hollow, a local brewery, for people who want a non-alcoholic option, for instance. Really just want this to be a benefit to Blacksburg.
We're here at the Alexander Black House. This was built in 1897. And Alexander Black was the great-nephew of William Black, founded the town of Blacksburg 100 years before this house was built in 1798. This is his second home. It was originally across the street here where the Kent Square parking garage is today. And in 2003, when they were building this garage, instead of having it torn down, they moved the house across the street. They dug a hole in this hillside here, pushed it into the hole, and lifted it up and put a basement in for us. So today, the house is around 9,000 square feet. It would have been a little smaller when Alexander Black was living here. He lived here with his wife, Lizzie Odie Black, and their adopted daughter. So it was built kind of in the Victorian Queen Anne style, but would have been a little late for that time period. Maybe Alexander Black, born in the 1850s, was inspired by some of the architecture of his younger years and built this house. If you look around here in the physical house, all of our floors are original. The paneled walls, original. And then this is the original staircase. And then the one original light fixture in the house, which probably would have been a oil lamp at the time, is right behind you there. It's the angel on the staircase. But here in the hallway, you can tell if you look at the floor, you can see where the addition was added back there. Now that section back there, the newer addition, has changed a few times. Funeral home had done their own thing back there, but before they moved it, they knocked that down and just moved the original structure. And then that is relatively new construction from around 2014 or so back there. And now, today, the town of Blacksburg owns this house. And Blacksburg Museum and Cultural Foundation operates within this building and handles the programming, art exhibits, things like that. And it's really become a community space. So it's a mix of art and history. You might notice when you tour today, we have a big focus on art downstairs and a few history exhibits upstairs. And I also do bi-monthly 16 Squares tours where people can come in free of charge and take a tour of the 16 Squares. And I walk around the town and give folks a little background of William Black's 16 Square grid.
Cabo Fish Taco es un restaurante vibrante, colorido y lleno de buena energía. Un espacio relajado donde amigos y familias se reúnen para disfrutar. Su menú ofrece sabores audaces empezando por tortillas calientes, suaves y recién preparadas. Por supuesto, los protagonistas, tacos irresistibles desde carne jugosa y bien sazonada hasta opciones llenas de frescura, acompañadas de salsas caseras. Cabo Fish Taco es el sabor auténtico, un ambiente único y una experiencia que siempre se te antoja en Blacksburg, Virginia.
This area is called Pandapis Pond, and it's a 500-acre tract. It was owned by Mr. Jim Pandapis, and he had the first electric company in Blacksburg. And so he had this whole property, this whole tract, and he wanted to develop it for a place for his employees of the electric company to have a place to go to exercise or recreate. So we'll walk down to it and we'll walk around, but he built this pond and then he managed it himself for probably about 30 years. He acquired it around 1948, and when in the 1980s, after managing it for a while, he opened it to the public and then he transferred it to the Forest Service. So the community here treasures this place. One of the mechanisms to be able to, for Mr. Pandapis to give this tract to the Forest Service was, it's called the Weeks Act, either 1912 or 1922. This is the legislation, and we were able to, he wanted to give it to us, but we ended up just paying him for the price that he bought it for in 1948. And so he didn't want any money, but that was the mechanism to be able to transfer the land. The main part of Pandapis Pond is the pond itself, but then there's also a 20-mile trail network that surrounds this site. I think about the gift to the community that Mr. Pandapis gave. I don't know if he knew what he was giving. It's just a beloved place. Well, there is a master naturalist group, and they're the ones who take care of the butterfly garden and the native plant garden over there. And we do get, like, you know, the hydrology club at Virginia Tech, and they want to help pick up trash, and stuff like that. So we definitely do get the volunteers and get the engagement from the community.
Llega el momento de una breve pausa. Al regreso, más de Blacksburg en Christianburg, Virginia. Ya estoy de vuelta y ahora conversaremos con Debbie Edward para conocer más sobre el Farmers Market de Blacksburg, Virginia. Conoceremos también el arte de hacer velas artesanales en The Chandelier y los llevaré a una peculiar tienda de libros y mucho más.
Hi, I'm Debbie Edwards. I'm the director for Friends of the Farmers Market, which is the nonprofit organization that oversees the Blacksburg Farmers Market. So I manage both the nonprofit organization and the farmers market. So the Blacksburg Farmers Market started about close to 35 years ago right here in Blacksburg. It grew over the years. It moved from one location on South Main Street to its current location here on Market Square. And we actually became Friends of the Farmers Market in the early 2000s when the town of Blacksburg basically handed the reins to us to manage the market ourselves. Farmers obviously are at the heart of our mission in everything that we do. Some of our other areas of focus is food safety, public safety. We're very focused on creating the best atmosphere that we can for our patrons. And because of all of our efforts over the years to make this a safe place, welcoming environment, We have been awarded for 2 years in a row as a certified gold market here in Virginia. For the last 2 years, our market has been voted as best farmers market in Southwest Virginia by the readers of Virginia Living magazine. So we are awaiting to hear about this year and very excited and keeping our fingers crossed that we'll be awarded that again this year. And the one thing that I did forget to mention that I think is really important is that we are a producer-only market. And what that means is everything that's sold here at market is either made, produced, or grown within a 50-mile radius. So hyper-local, hyper-fresh, and that's really important for our patrons who believe in buying local. So we're open Saturdays year-round, and we're open, our Wednesday market is open April through November from 2 to 6 p.m. So if you're ever in Blacksburg, I highly encourage you to stop by the market where you can get fresh fruits and vegetables, fresh meats, eggs, all baked goods, ice cream, gift products. We have dog treats, alpaca socks, you name it, it's here, leather goods. And I know that I'm being remiss in not mentioning all the products, but there's so much here at our market. And as a community destination place, we have music year-round, or at least for April through November. It's just, our community loves it. We're very well supported by the community, and people just love to come gather here and just hang out.
I've been making these candles now for 8.5 years. Started in my kitchen over a double broiler method, testing out the ratio of wax to fragrance oil, the temperatures at which you pour and mix at, until I came up with my very own method, and that's what our guests do here in the workshop. From the very beginning, I've had an online marketplace shipping across the US and to Canada. I still do that today, but the bigger dream was having a storefront, and we will celebrate our 2nd anniversary on Friday. So it's been just really cool to have a place to invite people in and share an experience with them. Your sense of smell is highly connected to your emotions and memories, and that's because of your brain's anatomy. So in the front of your brain, you have your olfactory bulb, and that's the first thing that processes scent. From there, it goes into the limbic system for even more processing. And in the limbic system, you have your hippocampus and amygdala, which are responsible for memory storage and emotion regulation. And that's why you get that crossover connection where you smell something and it triggers an emotion or helps you recall a memory. And it is my why for why candles as a business. As a lover of home decor and beautiful interiors, I wanted something that was not only going to be aesthetically pleasing, but would be the backdrop to your memory making. So our hope here is our candles that you burn in your home become that link to helping you recall your fond moments. I have 3 young children, and the notes they smell from the candles that we burn throughout the year. I'm really big on traditions, especially at the holidays. My hope is they smell those notes, and as adults, maybe they pick them up in their life and they smell it, and it transports them back to childhood and helps them pull on the traditions and special moments. We start and we will put a beaker on the scale. Everything is done in a ratio, so it's really important that everything measures out correctly. So once they've measured that out, they will individually come up here to the digiboil. This is what melts my wax down. A lot of people think this is a large coffee pot. It is not. And same thing here, we like to keep everything in pounds and ounces. So we get everything centered. Make sure my units are correct. And I don't know how well that you all can see, but this, everyone compares to pumping gas and trying to hit that whole dollar without going over. Yeah. So as soon as they get their wax, it's really important to go ahead and add the fragrance oil into it. There is a whole science behind the temperature of your wax for the quality of your candle. Let me stir this. We stir about a minute and a half. Imagine like making a cake, and you want all that dry ingredient well mixed into the wet. You want that fragrance oil to disperse really well into your wax. So as I click the thermometer on here, I'll jump back into the temperature part. So our wax starts at approximately 180 degrees here in the digiboil. If you had wax that was a whole lot hotter than that and put fragrance oil into it, your candle would smell like nothing when you would burn it, because all that fragrance oil would evaporate out of it. If you had wax that was too cool, however, and you put fragrance oil into it, you're going to end up with a candle that burns really unevenly, because it's going to have really dense pockets of aroma and then no pockets of aroma. but at 180 degrees or roughly thereat. You mix that fragrance oil in, it binds, it mixes really well, and you get a great hot throw, the way the candle smells while it's burning, and then also a great cold throw, the way it smells while it's just sitting on your tabletop. All right, just like I mentioned, it is a wooden wick. I like to put two together. However, you do not want that wax to get in between, separating the wicks as it cures. And so my participants, and when I make the candles, I clip across the top like you would a stack of paper, a paper clip, just to hold them together, like so. And then the participants will clear their trays and put the label side of the vessel facing them. And then we go ahead and immediately pour our wax fragrance mixture in. You will see as it starts to get to the bottom, it will get a milkier look to it, which is exactly what we want you to see that. It drops straight to the bottom, and the vessel being cooler than the wax kind of creates a gummy texture so that our wick clip will stick into it. And so as we place that nice in center, you give it a nice little push. Not every vessel is perfectly flat on the bottom, so I do go around participants and check side to side, front to back, to make sure they're in place. And then at that point, you've made a candle.
Justo al lado de las vías del tren en Cambria, descubre Cambria Station Antiques, un lugar fascinante para los amantes de lo vintage y lo único. Este histórico edificio de 3 pisos está lleno de tesoros, desde muebles antiguos y decoraciones curiosas hasta objetos coleccionables que evocan épocas pasadas. Dentro encontrarás también All New River Books, una librería usada con una enorme selección de títulos que abarca desde clásicos hasta raros ejemplares. Incluso una arquitectura creativa con un arco hecho completamente de libros que da la bienvenida a los visitantes. The Maroon Door en Blacksburg es un gastropub y cervecería ubicado frente al campus de Virginia Tech, ideal para visitantes y locales. Su nombre celebra el color maroon, símbolo del orgullo hockey, y la puerta icónica que recibe a quienes entran. Con cervezas artesanales de Off the Mall Brewing, buena comida y un ambiente animado, es una parada imperdible para vivir el espíritu de Blacksburg. Ubicado en el cruce entre el campus de Virginia Tech y el centro de Blacksburg, el Moss Art Center es un espacio cultural de primer nivel donde el arte, la música, el teatro y la innovación se encuentran para inspirar a toda la comunidad. Este centro de artes de 150.000 pies cuadrados alberga galerías de arte visual que presentan obras tradicionales y contemporáneas, así como instalaciones multimedia que desafían los sentidos. Su joya principal es el N&Ellen 5 Theater, una sala de actuación con más de 1.200 asientos, diseño acústico de alta calidad y tecnología de iluminación y sonido de vanguardia, capaz de recibir desde conciertos de música clásica hasta espectáculos de danza y teatro moderno. Con su arquitectura moderna, espacios al aire libre para eventos y una programación diversa durante todo el año, el Moss Art Center es un destino imperdible para quien visita Blacksburg, donde la creatividad se vive, se siente y se celebra. Blacksburg Wine Lab es más que una comida, es una experiencia culinaria y social que combina sabores creativos con una selección de vinos cuidadosamente curados. Su ambiente es relajado, acogedor y perfecto tanto para una cena casual con amigos como para una noche especial fuera. Ya sea que elijas un buen vino, un sándwich delicioso o explorar su Teen Seafood, la atmósfera del Wine Lab es una mezcla de sofisticación casual y energía vibrante de la comunidad. Deleítese probando los exclusivos enlatados importados desde Europa, así como también no dejes de probar sus deliciosos sándwiches. Por si fuese poco, este maravilloso lugar ostenta una amplia selección de vinos, vinos espumosos y más para escoger. ¡Salud!
My name is Brad Epperly. So basically we were looking for an opportunity to provide additional recreation opportunities for our citizens and the guests that come to Christianburg. We were looking for passive and active recreation opportunities. This property came for sale. It was previously a cattle farm, and we were fortunate enough as a town to purchase it. And at that point, we went into a master plan for our department with Parks and Recreation, and from there we went into a master plan for the park itself. We have athletic fields that are multi-athletic fields that are artificially surfaced. We can play soccer, football, lacrosse, as well as baseball and softball on the fields. We have a dog park that is used continuously. It's small and large dog park. And one of the most important features of our park is we have an all-inclusive playground and play area. All of the features were designed for individuals of all abilities, and we really appreciate the fact that we've been able to do that. It's a national demonstration site, so it's on a registry. So folks, from all over come to just enjoy the playground itself, and being able to give opportunities to everyone of all abilities is what we want to do in the recreation world. And so this park allows us to be able to accomplish that. Now that I've mentioned a little bit of everything that the park has to offer, let's go take a look. This pavilion, we use it for rentals. If we don't have a rentals, anybody can use it. We also do different types of events and those types of things here as well. This year will be the first year on the third Thursday of each month. We're going to be doing our farmers market here. We do have a sound system in here as well. So if we wanted to do something, let's say a wedding or whatever it might be, we could do that in this location. Please disregard the paint filling of the splash pad. We had a really rough winter. It kind of became very cold and our concrete shifted. And it ended up, I don't know if water got underneath it or what, but the surfacing peeled. So we have a company, we had to wait until the weather was good enough for us to be able to do it. So we have a company coming in Sunday, or they're flying in Saturday, start work on Sunday, and they'll completely grind all of the splash pad surfacing off, and they're going to reinstall new surfacing on it. So it's a very great amenity, a very busy amenity for us, and so we wanted to make sure we get that squared away. So this piece of equipment is electronic and it's interactive, and again, it can be used by anybody. If you have a mobility device, it's zero depth, so you can roll right on it. And so then there's different games that you can do, and like this one will be running around the surface. But kids are playing this all the time. Plus, it's an educational thing. It talks about the shapes, talks about the colors, numbers, those types of things. So it's definitely a fun item for everyone to be able to participate and play. So this is called a Toro system, and at the time that this was built, I don't know currently now, but at the time that this was built, this was the only one in the United States. It's sort of like a small futsal type of item, but each area is a goal area and it's electronic. And so you can play different games of scoring on the goal. You can use frisbees, you can use soccer balls. And so there's different skill levels by the colors. And so you just go around and you can compete with your friends or whatever. So whenever you get into the square, you can see it light up, it's red, and then it'll eventually go yellow, and then it'll go green, and then it times you till you go down there and it'll stop for your pasture. And so you can race or you can do it by yourself, either one. So all four fields is artificially surfaced. They all have drainage systems underneath so that we can play in pretty much any type of weather for the most part, as long as there's not lightning. We do have soccer lines on here. We have lacrosse and we have football lines. You see in the corners we have backstops. So we went a step further to be able to put bases, anchors in the turf as well, so that we could also play diamond sports here. And we have temporary fencing that we have stored in there that we bring out for like the diamond sports and those types of things.
Espero les haya gustado mi visita a Blacksburg, Virginia. No olvides de descargar nuestro canal en Roku y Amazon Fire TV o de seguirme en las redes sociales. Nos vemos en un próximo episodio.